Very interesting new features around the things stack, the packet broker, how it all comes together. But just one step back and just revisit, like, what's the power of LoRaWAN again? And why, like, does it find so much interest in the market? First of all, it's ultra low power. So, and what we've seen over the years, that actually that's the main USP. So, ultra low power means sensors that run on a battery for very long, and it also means that you don't have to replace them very often, and that means lower cost in your sensor maintenance. The other one is long range. I mean, we said we've seen 800 kilometers. You could criticize us on that, say, yeah, you're setting wrong expectations. Of course, this is an experiment, but long range is still very much a feature, and it goes way further than, of course, Wi-Fi or Zigbee or Bluetooth. Deep indoor penetration. Why do you see that in buildings you have so much usage of this technology because of this feature? It is in the free spectrum. There's no permission required to use LoRaWAN. That is a very strong feature. Geolocation, we've integrated the LR1110. It's a new product that was announced at our previous conference, but also by Semtech. And also their cloud services allow you to position the device. The combination of that, you can either build big carrier operator-like networks, but you can also build a lot of private networks and combine them as you've shown on all these different deployment options. The end-to-end security is embedded in the protocol, so it's not on top of it, which just makes it by design very strong. You're actually the inventor of the first firmware over-the-air update solution over LoRaWAN, and that's gaining maturity right now, which is very, very strong. What we're also excited about is the certification program by the LoRa Alliance that gives a stamp on if a device is actually working properly. Very strong, important for the network effects in the big ecosystem that it has. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of devices available for any use case out there.
And this is just the overview. So I have a talk, also this conference, LoRaWAN Fundamentals. And it's more than an hour of content diving deep into LoRaWAN, and it's an entry-level presentation. So if you're new to LoRaWAN, or if you want to know, more about cohesion, then also watch that talk.
Yeah, I think it's a very condensed piece of our end. I think I can advise everybody to watch it. Yeah.
So what happened in LoRaWAN on the technical side last year? So there is a new LoRaWAN version, 1.0.4. It contains a lot of improvements related to Class B, for example, and many other things, security improvements, and a lot of clarifications. So that's really good. And next to that, there is the LoRaWAN certification test tool, and that allows you as a device maker to run all sorts of tests with your end devices before you submit it to a test house for certification. And this is free for all LoRa Alliance members. And that reduces the cost dramatically for certifying your LoRaWAN devices. The QR code specification, I already mentioned it, I already showed it, but that's really instrumental for onboarding new LoRaWAN devices. And finally, there is a new regional parameter specification that also adds a lot of regions to LoRaWAN. So if you are somewhere in the world where you want to deploy a network, it's very likely that that is now possible in a certifiable way even. So that's great. So we already mentioned the growth of the LoRaWAN volume, number of messages. And we did some data analytics, and so like I said, 600 messages per second.
This is like, we have many gateways across the world.
Yeah.
All the messages that come in there, they go through the packet broker.
Yeah.
And this is the data set.
Yeah, so we took a sample, because it's a lot of data. We took a sample of a few days, and traffic for the Things network is roughly 64%, so that's for the community network. And this is only by gateways connected to the Things network or TTI networks, right? So it's obviously skewed, but that means that we also see about a third of the traffic is not just for the Things network community. So let's dive into that. So those are messages received for commercial networks by the Things Network gateways. And that gives you a little bit of an idea how big LoRaWAN is. And this is also growing, right? So it's those we see.
The entire pie is
yeah.
immensely growing.
Yeah, and that is really good. I think that's really big accomplishment for the ecosystem. And then there are many other smaller networks here in the other category that are deployed globally, and obviously a lot of LoRaWAN activity outside our coverage area, and that's also great. So just based on data, we saw an increase in volume of 100% in the last 6 months. So it's growing really fast now, and that's really good. We hope to see that growth sustaining in the coming year. And these devices are actually designed, manufactured, distributed, installed somewhere. They have been tested. They are out there, and they are sending this traffic. So that's already a huge pipeline. It's already when the owners of these devices, when they started thinking about their use cases, maybe that's already 2 years ago. So imagine what is in the pipeline, what is now being manufactured, what is now being onboarded and tested. So that's really interesting to watch.
It just truly shows the maturity of the ecosystem. Like we always said, building an end-to-end solution is actually very hard because you need so much, so many capabilities.
Yeah,
and
we made so many mistakes.
And below that, like if you look at the numbers, there's this immense amount of work, people relentlessly going through because they have this core belief that this technology is gonna provide it, and it seems that we're at this point that we're reaching these maturity levels in the LoRaWAN ecosystem.
It's also the right time to start, and that's also why we put a lot of time again at recording a LoRaWAN fundamentals video. If you're new to LoRaWAN, because there are obviously a lot of people new to LoRaWAN. If you see this growth, this is also really the right time to start.
Yeah.
And, yeah.